Well, hello. How are you guys doing? I'm so excited for today only because it's something different. Because I'm sure a lot of people are probably sick of looking at my face. So what I did is I have asked someone to join me this time so that I don't have to deal with you looking at my face. But I'm so pleased to have this person on camera with me, and it's someone that I've known for quite some time, and it's an honor to speak to her about what she's been going through all these years, and somebody that I can relate to, and hopefully you can relate to and learn as well. I'd like to introduce you to Liz Girouard. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Carolyn. How are
Hey,
you?
how are you?
I'm good.
I'm so glad to have this time together and speak to you about something that we actually had in common. But to be honest with you, I didn't realize the depth of what you were going through or what you have experienced. So, if you wouldn't mind, can you kind of give us like a little nutshell of what your life's been over the last how many years, and when it comes to caregiving?
Well, we were dealing with my dad. It turned out my dad had Alzheimer's, and we started noticing something was off in about 2018. And so we just, it was like we started asking questions, we started watching, and only to find out that he actually knew several years before, but didn't tell us.
No.
Yeah.
I kind of
But
remember that, something like that.
yeah, because he thought it would be okay and he didn't want to worry us. So he didn't tell us about it. But things happened and things started happening, and it became very apparent that there was something wrong. And so we kind of had to take over,
So,
kind of, to help my mom.
what was the big clue?
Just my dad was an accountant and he was a financial guy, and my dad was very, very smart.
Mhm.
But we started seeing things that said, no, no, something's wrong here. That's not quite right.
And your
And
mom
so
picked
it
up
was,
on it?
yeah, she picked up on it, and she called me one day and said, you need to come over here.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So
So
so he
it, it,
was I'm sorry, go on.
it just became apparent that he needed help and she needed help. And so that's where myself and my girls jumped in, and we just started helping and trying to decide what we needed to do. And part of it was we needed to relocate them. The house they were in, they'd been in for a very long time. It was huge. The yard was huge. And, he had fallen down the stairs a couple of times because he also had some physical problems from an earlier back surgery.
Mhm.
One of his legs, the nerve got damaged, and so his leg dragged.
Mm.
And so there were just a lot of physicality things that came into, and it was just better. We needed to relocate them.
So
So
where
that's
were they?
mode we
Proximity
jumped
what?
into. As far as,
Where they lived and where you were?
well, at that time, they were in Yorba Linda and I was in Yorba Linda. They were like a mile and a half away.
Okay. All right.
So that was fine. But, we got the house sold and everything, but to get them situated, we ended up having to move them to Ontario. So now they were half an hour away.
Yeah. Man.
So that made things a little more challenging. And the girls and I we always tried somebody to get over there every day just to check on them, to help my mom, and try to help take care of him
And how
as he
was
progressed.
Yeah, and how was he as he progressed? Was he accepting? Was he happy that you guys were aware or um
No, no, no. He fought it. Um, and he would try to say he was okay. And there were just a lot of things that, no, you're not okay. And then his physical became even more challenging because he ended up having to use a walker, but he insisted on trying to walk and do things himself, and he'd fall.
it's not funny, but you know what? they do that because they're so hell bent on keeping their independence.
Yes.
And when they're fiercely independent, it's even worse because it doesn't matter what you say or how you make yourself available, they will fight you tooth and nail.
Yes.
Oh
Very
man.
much so. Very
Wow.
much so.
And your
So
mom?
it was challenging for her. It was challenging for her. And, which is another reason why the girls and I tried to be there as much as possible. Um, because she was dealing with a man who she had spent, by the time my dad passed away, they had been married for 66 years.
Yeah.
And she remembered the man he was.
Mhm.
And it was difficult trying to get her to go, no, no, this is your reality now. You have to deal with it now. And that's what watching your chats, the one you did on to lie or not to lie, that's why I was like, no, no, Carolyn, let's talk about this.
Yeah,
Because it's
go
not
on.
lying.
I struggled with it, but not as much as other people that I've learned that have that issue. And that's why I kind of felt funny doing that episode. Because I thought, well, I didn't really struggle with it, but I heard how other people were fighting it because they were never conditioned to lie or had the mindset to condition themselves to present themselves in a different way for the benefit of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And now to find out that particular episode kind of triggered you, which is like the whole premise of this whole channel anyway, is not to trigger people, but it's like, hey, let's talk about these things and find out we're not alone. How can we all benefit from each other, and cause us to think a little bit differently when it comes to caregiving and dementia, Alzheimer's. It's all under that same umbrella that, I talked about
Right.
in one of the videos, but thank you. By the way, people, this is what we do. We look at each other, we just laugh. So,
Exactly.
even in the hard times. But so your mom had been married all this time, had always a I'm just going to say it, a really open, honest relationship with your dad. And it was the lying, it was the fabricating of the daily living that she couldn't handle, or was this just an
Well,
added?
no, it was the fact that, okay, for instance, he would say things like, I can remember sitting having lunch with him one day, and he's like, why is that woman sitting behind you? And I knew there was no one behind me. And I said, and I turned around and I said, I don't know. Who is she? He goes, I'm not sure. And I said, well, does she want something? And he goes, no, she's just sitting there. And I said, well, okay, let her just sit there and we'll just continue doing what we're doing. And he was like, oh, okay. And then a little bit later, he went, oh, she just got up and left.
Wow,
And I was like, okay. But see, things like that, when he would say things like that, it was difficult for my mother to understand. And she'd go, there's nobody there. It's like, Mama, just tell him there's somebody there.
she's me. Your mom is me. But how did you in this journey know how to do that with your dad? Because I sucked at it and I tried to bring my mom into reality, but my mom was not in my reality. So the
Exactly.
communication was like this, and it was horrible because I would get frustrated and my mom would be frustrated,
Exactly.
and it just created this ball of crap. And we were trying to get through the crap to see each other, but it would never happen. So how did you know to do that? That's amazing to me.
Just because in things I had seen, and like when you watch movies and people dealing with that, I just knew that if I tried to fight against it with him, he was going to get frustrated. I was going to get frustrated. And I didn't feel that didn't serve any purpose, because as you finally realized, his reality was different than yours.
Yeah, it took me
And
years
I,
though. Let me tell you, this was dark before.
and I just knew that it was better because my dad also, with his dementia, he had periods of anger. And
Mm,
so he would get angry, like, especially as he started to lose the ability to put a sentence together. He would get really angry. And you would just have to say, it's fine. Just sit there and think about it for a minute,
mhm.
and it'll come to you. Um, so I could see that sometimes some of those things that was difficult for my mom.
Mhm.
But like I said, she was remembering the man he had always been, and that's what she was trying to get back to, and she wasn't going to get there.
God, I
And
so get that.
that's not saying anything against her.
Right.
It's what she knew and what she thought was best. But what it did was just frustrate the both of them, and I was trying to eliminate the frustration for both of them. I didn't
Yeah.
want either one of them to be frustrated.
Man, you make me look like the devil incarnate.
No, 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 no. You
No,
were just
because
doing what you thought you were needed to do.
well, the crazy thing is I was by myself, right? And
Yeah.
my friend Deborah would show up every once in a while to help me, but if you were to look at if you were to look at the picture as a whole, I was by myself.
Yes, you were.
And so there were times that I turned around and I said, "Who's the crazy one?" You know, because the answer was always me because I knew mom was having an ailment, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, why are you trying to reason with somebody? That's almost the definition of insanity. You keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. But my question to you is, okay, so you innately knew and you had an idea that that's how you needed to be, but how did your girls deal with it? Because they were kind of helping you out, right?
Yes, they did the same thing.
Uh-huh.
They would just go along with it. Or there were times where he would be trying to do something, or we'd go, no, you're not going to do that. Um, you know, and you just have to do things to divert them.
Right.
It's all about just diverting them, putting their attention somewhere else or changing the subject.
Oh, you're so ahead of the game. I paid a lot of money to learn that.
Well, I think I also had an advantage because there's a friend of the family who's kind of like a cousin. She's been around since I was, in high school.
Hmm.
And her husband got early onset dementia. He got it at 40.
Oh my.
Yeah. And he passed away at 52. And he actually passed away the year before my dad passed away.
Oh wow.
But she had told me about a book, and it's called The 36-Hour Day.
I've heard of it.
And I read it, and it's very, very insightful. And I would tell anybody who is dealing with anyone who has any form of the dementias to read that book,
I heard about it.
because
And
it's kind of like a guide.
mhm.
I mean, everybody's different, but it's kind of a guide. It gives you something to reference to.
Thanks for bringing that up because I have heard about it and there's been a lot of positive things said about it. And to hear it from you and to know how it's helped you, obviously it's
Yes,
helped you out a ton.
it did.
I didn't know about it. Can you tell?
You were just winging it by the seat of your pants.
Actually, yes, I was. It's hard.
Yes.
A-
Yes, it
And
is.
and Liz, I've never had any children, but I will tell you, I babysat enough, but it's still not the same as having your own children. But this job of taking care of your parents or taking anybody that has this, I thought this is probably the hardest I've ever worked for the care of another human being.
Yes.
I don't know where it racks up, but I think I paid my dues, God.
I have to tell you that taking care of a child, I think, was easier than taking care of a parent.
Hmm.
First of all, the fact that you're like, this is somebody who raised me, and now I have to kind of treat them and care for them like a child. Because also toward the end, my dad was non-communicative.
Oh,
He
was.
didn't talk.
Oh, I didn't know
No.
that.
Yeah, he didn't talk, which toward the end I knew that something was happening because my dad hadn't talked and or said my name in months. And 5 days before he passed, I went to the house and I walked in the room and he said, "Hey, Biz, what's going on?" Because he called me Biz. And I went, "Oh, not a lot. What's going on with you?" "Oh, not much."
What did that feel like?
Well, at that moment, I knew and especially after reading the book, I thought, okay, here we go. And that was the last thing he said to me, that he ever said to me.
Was that considered his burst of energy
Yes,
before his exit?
yes,
Wow.
yes.
Did anybody else realize that?
You know what? I don't know. We didn't really talk about it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I never brought it up.
Wow.
But yeah, you know, the thing that troubles me a little bit is the fact I wasn't there with him and my mom when he passed because we kept him at home.
Mhm.
I was doing something and on my way there, to only then get stuck in traffic on the 91 because there was a jumper on the 241.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, you had to do this now.
Oh my gosh.
So, but um, but actually I was grateful for his passing because I knew this was not how he would have wanted to live. And so my father passed on my birthday.
He did, Liz?
Yes. And everybody was so upset. "Oh my God, not your birthday." I go, "No, no, you guys don't understand. I
It,
prayed for this. This was a gift."
you know what? Something similar like that happened. My uncle passed away on my cousin's birthday. And when he did the eulogy, he actually said, "It's an honor for me because where my dad on this day welcomed me into the world, I get to celebrate my dad as he exited into eternity."
Yes. And to me, this is his new birthday. We share a birthday now.
Oh, that gives me chills.
Yeah. I mean, especially the girls. The girls were so upset he passed on my birthday. And I was just
Oh
like,
my God.
no, it's okay. It really is. It's okay.
I don't know if you did this, but when my mom passed away, I was trying to think of significant things. I don't ever want to forget it. Well, stupid. You're never ever going to forget it, you know? But
Right?
it was Juneteenth, you know?
Oh, no.
So I'm like going, well, I guess I'll remember that one. And my dad is like election day. So I'm like,
Oh, all right. Well,
that's,
there
you
you
know,
go.
I've just thought, okay, something significant. But you know what? That's so sweet. Your story of how he passed on your birthday.
Yeah. I'm just sorry I wasn't there.
Mhm.
And it was, like I said, I was on my way there. And,
Wow.
my sister called and she said, and I was in the car and she
Hmm.
said, "We think Daddy just passed." And I said, "Okay, I'll be there when I get there. I'm,
And
I'm on my way."
where were they? They were in Ontario, you said?
Yes. And
Wow.
it was I was going to meet someone. I had sold my mom's settee because we at some point had realized that the going back and forth wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had decided to, my mom and the girls and I sat down and talked about it. And I was building an ADU in my backyard
Oh,
to
really?
move them back over here. So we were here with them all the time. Unfortunately, he did not he did not ever get to see that. But, my mom still moved in. But I was selling a piece of her furniture and I was meeting someone to get it to them. So it was like, all righty.
How does she like it?
She's doing very well. She's very happy to be here. And she's got the grandkids here, the great grandkids here. She still has her freedom. She comes and goes as she pleases, does what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a little difficult for her at first without him.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she got back over here, she started going back to the church, you know, and the first time she went to mass, she came home and she just fell in my arms. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she said, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to go there without him.
Wow.
So I think we're all still adjusting. I mean, it's been a year now, but it's still weird. It's still, there are times I want to tell him something and I go, oh yeah, but I actually talk to him anyway.
I know. I do too. I talk to both my parents. I'm thinking, who hears me? Oh, I'm by myself. Oh, nobody hears me. Okay, so you're just crazy by yourself. But I
And you
have
know what?
comfort. I have comfort in it.
Yes, yes. And like at work, they're like, okay, because I put his picture up in my office at work, and they're like, oh, that's your dad? I go, that's my dad. And he's on my board at work in my office.
Mm-hmm.
And every
Yeah.
once in a while, and I know it sounds weird, but he does talk to me sometimes. And mom and I laugh because we know that he's probably there, because she and I afterwards we were sodding the backyard and she and I were doing it. And sure enough, she goes, father, I go, I know, he's already told me. Why are you two doing that? Why aren't you paying somebody to do that? You both are so stubborn.
Isn't that crazy? And you hear them there and you hear it in their voice,
Mhm.
attitude and all.
Yep. And he's got, you two just never listen. No, we don't.
And you keep on going.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I just learned someone had shared this recently, actually today. Um, Hospice nurse Julie had put out that there is a Catholic organization or our Catholic ministry. And I don't know if you know about this, but apparently it's called Servants of Mary Ministry of to the Sick. And apparently it's in LA County, but I think Catholic ministries have it where they give free uh caregiving for a certain amount of time, 2 times a week, free of charge. The only thing
No.
is that the family has to bring their loved one to, is it the convent or wherever they have it, and and they can spend time there. And because a lot of times people, I found out, if they can, they'll take their loved one to like adult daycare, and
Hmm.
that way they get their respite time and stuff like that. But apparently there's something within the Catholic fold that they have that the nuns do. And so like I said, if anybody out there is of the faith of Catholicism and they're looking for help, you might want to look into that. It's called Servants of Mary Ministry to the Sick. So but they do stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
but
no, hadn't heard of that one, but we got help with some things for my dad through veterans because my dad was a vet. So
awesome.
um we got some care my mom had caregiving. We finally got that. She had it 4 days a week for 4 hours, and then there was one day a week someone would come for the day.
Wow. You guys got all that.
Yeah, and then there were times she needed to go. So it's like, go, I'd have her go and I'd go stay at the house. Like she'd go with my sister to Vegas or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and I would come stay at the house for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, we did, but like you said in one of your previous videos, there's really nobody out there to help you and tell you here are the things you can get or do. A lot of them you've got to find for yourself.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true.
Um, yeah, and it just it's amazing. You think there would be more, they would make it easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because even once you find them,
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult, and the process you have to go through to get it.
Unbelievable. I still can't believe when I look back, I don't even know how I got to where I got to and what I did or how I found what I found.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the whole emphasis of starting up this channel is because I'm past that part. My platter's still full because I've got a lot of other things I have to deal with. However, being in the midst of that, in the craziness and trying to sort out the confusion, and I wasn't like you where it was like, oh, okay, we'll just do this because I didn't have the 36-hour a day. you know, I had more the minute to minute booklet, and it was just like my brain couldn't handle anymore. And but it's just, I mean, and I was by myself,
Yeah.
you know.
I had the gift of my daughters. They jumped in, no questions asked. They knew that this was what we had to do
I love you
because
girls.
me too. I got great girls. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I got great girls. But, we've always known that he would not have wanted to be in a facility because that would have killed him a lot sooner.
I agree. I
And
mean,
so
it's expensive.
we knew that, well, not only that, it's not only that, but we knew that was not ever anything we were going to do. We were not going to do that.
Yeah. And,
Um,
I agree with you 100%. But when I found out that in the state of California, assisted living on an average is 7 to sometimes close to $20,000 a month,
yes.
I just about, well, I did. I fell off the chair. I thought there's no way. But I honestly, in my nature, just our culture, I'm not going to take my mom out of a place that's going to make her go into steady decline
Yes.
that she's unfamiliar with. I don't care how social she may be or how she thinks she may be. I'm not going to do that to her. And quite honestly, my mom was in a mild cognitive impairment mode. Everybody kept defining her as dementia, but I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it never really did drop.
Mm-hmm.
The woman had a memory, and that's the whole thing. Your dad stopped speaking. He had all the classic signs of dementia and the different levels and the plateaus that you hit. And then,
Mm-hmm.
it's a hard road.
Yeah, it's different for everyone. And honestly, personally, I feel as an illness, it's worse than cancer because you have someone who knows they're going to lose their mind. Can
That's
you
exactly.
imagine?
No, and that's just it. There's a book out, and I'm going to have to try to find it, but some guy who knew he had Alzheimer's or some form of dementia actually wrote a book as he was going through this. He was a doctor, and he knew how to, when he had his high points and his low points, and he would write during the high points of what he was experiencing as he
Mm-hmm.
was in decline. I'll try and find what that book was, but it just blows me away because you're right. They know something's not right. I don't know how many times my mom actually told me, Carolyn, I know I'm not 100%. My mind's going cuckoo. And I'm sorry. Or I go, Mom, you've asked me that like for the 5th time already. I'm so sorry. And she was so sincere about it, but my heart broke for her.
Yep. Yep. And my dad he says, I'm sorry I'm putting you guys through this. I'm sorry I'm causing so much trouble. It's like, Daddy, you're not causing trouble.
Mm-hmm. And it's painful to hear them say that.
Yes.
Because
it is.
you know how much they are aware of their unawareness.
Yes.
I don't know how many times
Yes.
I cried about that. And I just, or I'm sorry, I hate to admit it, but I would lose my marbles because I was frustrated over something. And then I just come back immediately and I just start crying and I go, Mom, and I give her a hug and I go, I'm just so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying so hard to figure this out. And she would be comforting me.
Yep.
Where other people gave up on me, my mom became oddly my champion.
Yeah.
As I was championing for her.
The thing that drove me crazy while we were going through this was people would go, you are such a good daughter.
Oh, don't
And I
even
go,
start me.
what do you mean? And they'd go, for doing this. And I go, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my father.
Mm-hmm.
That, I have to tell you, that made me crazy. I got so tired of people saying that to me. It's like, this is my father. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Can I put a pause on this right now and
Sure.
take a break, because I'm going to come back, but I'm going to start out with this because I've got a lot to say about that part. So hold on for a second and I'll be right back.
Okay.